think spiritual awakening means peace, that it's meditation, light, clarity, a gentle unfolding. That's the lie. The truth, awakening doesn't whisper, it shatters. It rips the floor out from under you and dares you to find meaning in the free fall. And no one talks about that part. Because the real signs aren't beautiful. They're terrifying, confusing, unexplainable, sudden isolation, emotional chaos, dreams that feel more real than waking life, a constant feeling that something is off, but you can't name it. You're not broken, you're not crazy, you're waking up, and the system built to keep you asleep, it's starting to lose grip. This is where it begins. The first sign, disconnection. From friends, from routines, from everything that used to feel like you. You start drifting, not by choice, but by force. You'll look at the life you built and wonder how you ever fit inside it. The parties, the gossip, the goals you swore meant everything suddenly feel hollow. That's not depression, that's the matrix unplugging. The second sign, sensitivity to sound, to light, to energy. Rooms feel different. People's words feel louder, not in volume, but in vibration. Your body becomes a radar, a filter, a battlefield. Because once the veil lifts, you don't get to unsee what's behind it. You feel intentions behind every smile. You sense lies before they're spoken. The third sign, emotional volatility. You cry for no reason. Rage erupts from nowhere. Joy slams in like lightning. You're not unstable, you're being rewired. Old trauma, suppressed pain, ancestral wounds, they all surface. Because your frequency is rising and everything unprocessed can't follow you up. These are not glitches, they are cleansings. The system wants to medicate you, label you, shame you. But in ancient cultures, these symptoms weren't feared. They were honored as soul initiations. You're not falling apart. You're shedding what's not yours. This is the real beginning, and it only gets wilder from here. The fourth sign, time distortion. Moments stretch, hours collapse. You lose track of days, not because you're lazy, but because your inner clock is unplugging from artificial cycles. You begin to feel like time isn't linear, like the past is bleeding into the now, like your dreams are leaking into waking life. And you're right, they are, because awakening dismantles the illusion of time. Your mind fights it, but your soul breathes easier. The fifth sign, craving isolation, not because you hate people, but because crowds feel loud. Small talk feels unbearable. You're not antisocial, you're becoming frequency selective. Your nervous system begins rejecting noise, fakery, and distraction. You don't want validation, you want truth. The sixth sign, synchronicities, numbers repeating, people from the past showing up, random words triggering waves of memory. Reality begins to talk back, and when it does, you start listening with more than ears. You sense messages in music, symbols in traffic, guidance in silence. You realize nothing is random. Everything is communication. The seventh sign, loss, jobs, relationships, identities. Things fall apart, not to punish you, but to strip away what isn't aligned. And it hurts, but the pain isn't death, it's birth. What's leaving your life isn't failure, it's space, making room for who you're becoming. This is the spiritual upgrade you didn't know you signed up for. And once it starts, there's no going back. If this feels familiar, your awakening has already begun. So don't get stuck in confusion. Subscribe, hit the bell, stay locked in, because the next layer gets even more real. The eighth sign, uncontrollable surges of energy, tingling in your spine, pressure in your forehead, vibrations in your hands. Sometimes it feels like anxiety, other times like electricity crawling under your skin. These aren't symptoms, They're activations. Your energetic body, the field science barely understands and spirituality has always revered, is coming online. Your chakras, not just mystical ideas, but rotating frequency centers responding to your shift. When you awaken, they spin harder, faster, cleaner. And that acceleration is felt in your body as waves you can't explain. Your crown starts to pulse. Your third eye flickers behind your brow. Your heart beats erratically during moments of truth. This is what happens when the system designed to suppress your power starts to crack. And with that comes the ninth sign, mental disorientation. You forget why you walked into rooms. You start sentences you can't finish. You feel like your brain is lagging, because it is. Your intellect, the thing you've relied on to navigate the matrix, is being reprogrammed. You're not losing intelligence, you're losing dependence on logic. You're not supposed to only think your way through life anymore. You're supposed to feel it. Intuition rises, the mind resists, and in that clash, you feel like you're losing yourself. But you're not. You're losing who you thought you were. That brings us to the 10th sign. Reality collapses. You see through people, through institutions, through stories. The news doesn't sound like truth. The leaders don't feel like leaders. The goals they gave you feel like traps. You start asking bigger questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is this, really? And no one around you seems to get it. That's how you know it's real. Awakening isn't popular. It isn't glamorous. It doesn't trend. It burns. But in that burn is your becoming. Let's get honest. The moment you start showing signs of awakening, they don't call it evolution. They call it dysfunction. They diagnose the symptoms, medicate the intuition, pathologize the soul's scream for truth. You feel things others don't. They call it hypersensitivity. You pull away from empty interactions. They call it antisocial. You start seeing through illusions. They call it overthinking. But let's be real. They're not scared of your pain. They're scared of your clarity. Because when you wake up, you stop buying. You stop fearing. You stop obeying. You become dangerous. Not with violence, but with vision. And nothing threatens the program like a soul that remembers itself. They engineered a world to keep you asleep. Food that dulls the body. Screens that hijack your focus. Schools that kill curiosity. Jobs that drain spirit. News that programs fear. Medicine that numbs your frequency. Because if you felt the full electricity of your being, you'd rewrite everything they built. You'd realize your thoughts are not random, they're programmable. You'd realize your body is not weak, it's a transmitter. You'd realize your emotions aren't flaws, they're tools of recalibration. But here's the key. Awakening isn't a one-time event. It's a collapse followed by a rebuild. It's dying every day to everything that isn't truth until nothing false remains. That's why it's painful. That's why it's lonely. That's why it's real. You're not ascending into the light. You're digging through shadow, shedding the weight of programming until your field becomes undeniable. You're not just a person anymore. You're becoming a node in the grid, a living transmitter of upgraded frequency. And once you go this far, there's no turning back. But why would you want to? By now, you've felt it. The shift isn't just in your mind, it's in your field. The way people look at you changes. You walk into a room and conversations pause, not because of how you look, but because of what you're emitting. Your very presence starts interfering with the program because you're no longer operating on the same frequency. Here's the secret they don't teach. You have a bioelectromagnetic field. It extends beyond your skin, meters out, unseen but fully alive. And it responds not to what you say, but to what you believe. Your thoughts carry voltage, your emotions, frequency, your presence, signal. When you're asleep, your field is small, dense, cluttered, a mirror of the noise you consume. But when you awaken, it expands, clears, strengthens. You begin attracting people who feel like memory, situations that feel like prophecy, timing that feels too perfect to be chance. That's not magic. That's alignment. You're now transmitting a signal that reality can't ignore. And reality, like any system, must respond. That's why after the awakening, your life breaks down, jobs collapse, relationships rupture, your old world stops working. Because the new signal doesn't support old structures. It demands integrity, coherence, resonance, and that's where your power begins. You stop chasing, you stop fixing, you start remembering. Every cell in your body has memory, every organ a resonance. Your bones hold codes older than language. Your breath speaks to the grid. You don't need to build power. You need to remove the noise that hides it. Once you do, you realize you're not healing. You're reconnecting to self, to source, to others. And here's the twist. Once you fully awaken, you don't just live for yourself. You become a frequency anchor, stabilizing new light on a planet built on distortion. You walk different, talk different. You laugh louder, cry deeper, love wilder. Because everything fake falls away. And what's left is signal, raw, pure, untamed, yours. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for signs. You start moving as the sign. You don't predict timelines. You create them. You don't read energy. You transmit it. And the deeper you go, the more you understand. This wasn't a breakdown. It was a reboot. No more denial. If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. You're not here to fit in. You're here to recode reality. You've been absorbing signals your whole life. Family patterns, cultural scripts, fear loops, false identities. But the moment your awakening begins, you realize you were never meant to be a receiver. You were meant to be a transmitter. Everything changes. You stop reacting to energy and start generating it. You no longer just feel the room. You influence it. You don't wait for signs. You become the pattern interrupt. Every thought you choose is a broadcast. Every emotion you feel is a wave. Every word you speak is a code. Your field is no longer unconscious. It's intentional. And here's where the responsibility kicks in. What are you sending out? What are your thoughts magnetizing? What frequencies are your choices anchoring? Because energy doesn't lie. You either clean your field and become a beacon, or clutter it and become noise. The old world thrives on your unconscious broadcast, your fear, your confusion, your sleep. But the new world, it builds itself on conscious creators, signal bearers, field stabilizers, people like you, not gurus, not prophets, not chosen ones, just those brave enough to face themselves, fully, naked, unfiltered. And once you do, you become untouchable, not because you're invincible, but because you're aligned. You no longer walk through life hoping. You walk knowing, I am the frequency, I am the mirror, I am the reset, and people feel it. They may not understand it, but they'll feel you, real, raw, and activated. No more hiding behind healing, no more chasing signs, no more waiting to be ready. You were born ready. Your awakening wasn't an accident. It was your system coming back online. Now it's your turn to choose. Will you dim it down to make others comfortable? Or will you broadcast like the grid is yours? Because it is. Take a moment, breathe. Not just into your lungs, into your field. Feel what's different now. Because if you've truly listened, you're not the same person who started this video. Something cracked, something remembered. This wasn't about information, it was about activation. You've seen the 10 signs, but now you know the truth. They weren't signs, they were codes. Each one a vibration pulling you closer to the you that was buried beneath layers of noise. You don't need more proof. You don't need permission. You don't need the world to believe you. You are the signal now. Your energy speaks louder than your words ever could. And from this point on, everything you do is part of the broadcast. So speak like it, move like it, love like it. And now I leave you with this. If everything you feel is real, why do you keep pretending it isn't? Drop your answer in the comments. Let the others know they're not alone. Because the ones who are waking up, they're everywhere now. And this was just your first frequency check-in. The next transmission is already waiting.